If I were moving to Atlanta in 2025, this is the video that I'd want to see. This is not your typical best places to live in Atlanta video. In this video, I'm breaking down the different areas that you should consider living depending on the different stages of life that you might be in. From the faster paced in-town lifestyle to the slower paced, more relaxed suburban lifestyle and everywhere in between. If you're new here, my name is Kelly Allen with Kelly & Co. and I make videos about moving to and living in the Atlanta area. Now, I'm gonna start this video with an area that I called home when I was in my early 20s. This is an area that gets a lot of hype. If you're anywhere in the country, you might have heard of this area, and it should absolutely be on your list if you are in your early 20s. And that area is Buckhead. Think high-rise condos, valet everything, upscale shopping, and some of Atlanta's best nightlife and best restaurants are in Buckhead. It's perfect for those that want to live in the middle of everything, in the middle of all the action, and they want to live in that high-end luxury lifestyle. So when I first got out of college, I decided to call Buckhead my home for a number of reasons. First, it was my dream to live in a high-rise condo right on Peachtree Road, which is the main road that takes you from Brookhaven and south into downtown Atlanta. Everything happens on Peachtree. I wanted to be in the buzz of the city and yet still have the greenery and the trees and the parks around me. I wanted to be able to walk anywhere that I wanted, whether it's grocery stores, coffee shops, restaurants, or bars. Come on, I was in my 20s. And I wanted to be very close to interstates because, again, I was a young realtor and I needed access to all parts of not only the city, but in all parts of Metro Atlanta. I could hop on Peachtree Road and head north to get into Brookhaven. I could head south to get into Midtown or downtown. I could drive about a mile and get on I-85, which would take me over to Decatur, or I could drive a mile in the other direction and I could be on Georgia 400 heading up to Sandy Springs and Roswell in a matter of minutes. There are still two MARTA train stations in Buckhead. One is at Lenox Mall and one is at the Lindbergh station. This means that it is so convenient and so centrally located. When I lived in Buckhead, Buckhead was the place for nightlife. Now you've got Midtown and even downtown that has probably a little bit more of a nightlife scene. Buckhead has become a little bit more relaxed. It's grown up a little bit and it is even more upscale than it was when I lived there. Now you have multiple options for housing when you live in Buckhead. Of course, you've got apartments, but you also have condos, townhomes, and single family homes as well. And they run the range on price ranges. I first picked an apartment and then I moved into a condo because I loved having that maintenance-free lock and leave lifestyle. I also loved having a 24-hour concierge and I loved having that gated enclosed parking. It made me feel really safe coming home no matter what time of day that was. And I knew that there was always going to be somebody there in the lobby if I felt like I needed them or for package drop off or deliveries, things like that. I also loved having a pool and a gym in my building, and many of the buildings in Buckhead do have pools and gyms in them. Let's talk about the condo market for a minute, because if you're going to be living in Buckhead and you're going to be in your 20s or 30s, you're probably going to be looking at condos or townhomes. Right now, there's 8 months of inventory in the condo market, which means that the Buckhead condo market is a buyer's market. This opens up so many opportunities for negotiation and places to pick from if you're a buyer. You've got anywhere from studios up to 3-bedroom condos in Buckhead, and they range in price from $110,000 up to over $9 million. The median sales price right now in Buckhead for a condo is $395,000. And that's gonna get you a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo with almost 1,400 square feet. It's going to get you a concierge, and it's gonna get you into a building that has a gym and pool. Now, a little tip for me, if you're going to be shopping for condos in Buckhead and you're gonna be anywhere off of Peachtree Road, then you want to see if you can get a south-facing view. There aren't many of them left. A south-facing view is going to get you a view of Midtown and downtown Atlanta with all the beautiful skyscrapers. A north view is going to get you more of the Buckhead Village, more trees and small building view. you pick what you want. But again, south facing view in Buckhead, you've got a better shot of getting that beautiful, dreamy Atlanta skyline view. All right, now let's flip over to a different phase of life. And this is when you are in the dual income, no kids or dink phase of your life, or you're just a young professional. If I were you, I would be looking in Decatur. If living in a high rise in the middle of the city is just too crowded for you, or if you've done that and you're ready to get something bigger, maybe a single family home, maybe you're ready to get a yard for your dog, Decatur is the area that you should look in. I moved there after I lived in Buckhead for those very reasons. We wanted a house and we wanted a yard for our dog, and we knew that we were going to start having kids, so we wanted to go ahead and plan to have the space for that. Now, in Decatur, you still get a lot of the perks that you do in Buckhead. You get convenience. Not as convenient as living in Buckhead, but Decatur, parts of Decatur are off of Interstate I-85. So depending on how far away you are from I-85, that will determine how quickly you're going to get into the city. But from Decatur, you can still take back roads into many of the other areas that you might be working anyway, which would be in the north or the northeast section of the city. Decatur has a really cool, walkable vibe. It's a little grungier, it's far less upscale, it's a little less conservative, a little more liberal. Decatur has a really cool vibe, and depending on where you live in Decatur, you might be within walking distance of some of Decatur's best restaurants and best bars. It's only located about 15 minutes away from Buckhead. So again, you can travel by back roads or you can hit I-85 to get down to the city if that's where you're working. It still has the convenience that you want. It even has a MARTA train station right in the heart of downtown Decatur, so you can still get anywhere you need to go pretty conveniently. But what I really love about Decatur are two things: downtown Decatur and Oakhurst Village. If you live within walking distance of either of these areas, you are going to have the coolest lifestyle. I'm talking about walking to breakfast on the weekends, walking to grab a glass of wine after work, maybe walking to dinner, maybe just strolling around with your new baby. You will absolutely love the walkability and everything that's at your fingertips when you live in downtown Decatur or in Oakhurst. So in terms of real estate, here's what Decatur offers. It's going to offer condos, townhomes, and single family homes. Let's focus on the homes though, because you're probably moving there to get a house because you want a yard. So you've got single story and two story homes built as early as 1900 and as new as brand new construction. You can get 2 bedrooms up to 6 bedrooms, and the prices are going to be anywhere from about $515,000 to up to over $2 million. The average price right now is right at $1 million. But if $1 million is not in your budget, fear not, because you can get some really cute houses in the 700s right now in Decatur. Now, let's talk about where I would live if I had school-age children. There might come a time when you have school-age children or even younger kids where you start craving a slower pace of life. Buckhead is very much in town. Decatur is still going to have a busy, more congested vibe. When the time comes that you're looking for a slower paced, more suburban, maybe more kid-friendly, maybe better public schools, lower property taxes. If this sounds like you, then you've got several options, and we're gonna talk about a few. But the area that I chose to move to was East Cobb. At the time, we still did a lot of business in town, so we needed to have really close access to I-75 that would take us into the city. But we also wanted to be close to Georgia 400. We wanted really great public schools all the way from elementary through high school. We wanted lower property taxes, so we removed paying a city tax when we moved to East Cobb, and we just wanted a more family vibe. East Cobb offers all of this. I've shot a couple of videos on East Cobb already where I talk about how great the schools are and I talk about my favorite neighborhood. So we're not going to get too deep into that today, but definitely check those videos out. But again, I just want to focus on the location for a second, because if you're in this phase of life, chances are you still may be commuting for work. East Cobb is a great option for you, especially the south side of East Cobb in that Walton High School District, that Wheeler High School District, because it's going to keep you just about 20 minutes to Sandy Springs, about 30 minutes to Buckhead. You can be to the airport in about 45 minutes. If there's one complaint I think East Cobbers have, is that we don't have better, more curated restaurant options, but We have a solution for that. You just drive 10 minutes into downtown Roswell, or maybe 20 minutes into downtown Alpharetta, or maybe 20 minutes into Sandy Springs, and you've got great restaurants all around you. Now, let's talk about East Cobb real estate. In East Cobb, you still have a few options for housing. You do have some condos, you've got a few townhomes, but mostly you're gonna be looking at single family homes, which is exactly what you want in this phase of life. A lot of the homes were built in the 1980s to 1990s, but of course we have all the new construction, although we have very little land to build on. If you see new construction in East Cobb, it's probably because an older home has been torn down. Our lots average about 1/3 of an acre, but you can certainly find bigger. And we have tons of swim tennis neighborhoods, which is so great when you're raising kids, because this is where your kids are gonna meet their friends. You're gonna go down to the pool and hang out with your neighbors on the weekends. This is going to become your core social group in most cases. We also have 2 golf courses in East Cobb. One is Indian Hills Country Club and one is Atlanta Country Club. Right now, there's about 2.5 months of inventory for single family homes. So we are in a seller's market, although that is growing. With 2.5 months of inventory, East Cobb is still very much in the seller's market until you get to the $2 million price point and go up from there. That's where you really begin to see more inventory and more negotiating opportunity. The median price right now in East Cobb is $800,000. And that's gonna get you a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, brick home with a basement built in the 80s in a swim tennis neighborhood with about 3,500 square feet. Now, there are 2 other towns that I would seriously consider if I were making that same move today from Decatur into the suburbs. And I still wanted convenience and I wanted to be around a lot of things, but I really wanted that family-friendly lifestyle, wanted great public schools. There are a few other options that I would consider now. One of them would be Roswell, one would be Alpharetta, and finally, Milton. I've shot videos on all of these, so I'm gonna link these here so you can go a little bit deeper into them. But a quick overview, in Milton, you're gonna have a minimum of an acre lot. You're gonna spend a lot of money to be in Milton. You're gonna spend at least about 1.3 million to get into Milton, but you're gonna have a large lot, you're gonna have a newer home, and you're gonna be in a more rural setting, and you're gonna have fantastic schools. If you're looking at Alpharetta, you're gonna have a little bit smaller of a lot, more like about 1/3 of an acre, similar to East Cobb. But you're gonna have a little bit newer home. You're gonna be near Avalon and North Point and downtown Alpharetta, so there's tons to do, and you've got great schools there well. So to summarize, there are so many amazing places to live in Atlanta and just north of Atlanta, which is why you should reach out to me regardless of what demographic you fall in, regardless of what phase of life you're in right now, because each phase is going to have multiple options. And I'm here to help you determine which options are available to you and which ones would be best for whatever phase of life that you're in. I have so many videos, so feel free to binge them. If you're not a subscriber, click subscribe and please click the like button. Leave me a comment. What areas did I leave off? If you live in these areas, what areas do you love? And what areas do you want me to explore a bit more for you? Until the next one.